just water everywhere, like 3 inches all the way around.
And he doesn't want anyone to sleep here.
Hey, please, please, I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
Claire is a seasoned solo camper and a single mother who usually shares calm outdoor moments, quiet walks through the woods, and nights spent under the stars. Her content is typically filled with peaceful energy and scenic views. But this time, she decided to try something different. For Halloween, Claire chose to camp near an abandoned rundown church, one tied to dark stories of alleged satanic activity, and even a nearby murder that still lingers in local memory.
Trying something a bit different today, so I'm going to be camping at a church with a history of satanic ritual and witchcraft. So yeah, this is Wild Bear coming to you from Clop Hill. Up bones and all sorts from graves. There's been a murder down on A6, known as the A6 murder. That's the road just over there, I believe. So yeah, lots has happened here, and understandably the church has been closed for overnight visitors, and there are cameras and alarms everywhere. So I've been up to have a look at the church, and I'm staying somewhere nearby where I feel like I won't be disturbed. Yeah, I like this little bit of woods. I don't think I'll be disturbed here. I'm gonna do a bivvy today, so really stealth. Got another shelter, just gotta wait around till it gets dark.
Because the church itself was heavily secured with alarms and surveillance systems in place, Claire set up her camp in a quiet wooded area close by. As she waited for nightfall, she read about the area's unsettling history stories of disturbed graves, strange sightings, and rumors that had persisted over time. Among them was a controversial clip said to show a hooded figure near the church years earlier, adding to the local legends of hauntings.
Noises, I can't report of anything so far. While we're on the subject of weird stuff, there is a controversial video of what is claimed to be a ghost in St Mary's Church, taken in 2016, and it shows a black hooded figure walking past the door of the church. So if you Google Clop Hill Church monk ghost, I'm sure that will come up. And it's a really creepy video actually, but you know, that could quite easily have been staged. So, but for you guys that like the ghost stuff, have a look at that. So that's quite fun.
As night settled in, Claire explored the surroundings and had dinner. Eventually, she got into her sleeping setup, hoping the rest of the night would stay calm. But as she lay under the open sky, the atmosphere began to shift.
Okay, I've lost my bed. How have I lost my bed? Okay, that's not even funny. Right, okay, I'm trying not to get disoriented. Where did I come from? There's the moon. So pretty. Good night, wild ones. See you in the morning. You see the red eyes over there? I'm just going to assume they were deer eyes. Freaky. Really freaky. I don't like the red eyes.
Unusual sounds came from the forest, and then without warning, she noticed what looked like glowing red eyes staring at her from the tree line. She tried to explain it away, suggesting it could have been deer reflecting the light from her red headlamp, but her tone suggested uncertainty.
I keep telling myself it's just because I had my red light on my head torch, that's why the eyes look red. And if I had the white light on, they would have just been white, because they're just deer eyes.
The eyes remained still. They didn't blink, and for a moment it felt like someone was watching her. It's possible the eyes were simply an animal reflecting light, But Claire's reaction, combined with the dark history of the location, adds a psychological edge to the situation. Even experienced campers can be affected by environments shaped by unsettling stories. Was it just light playing tricks along with her nerves? Or did Claire come closer to something she couldn't fully explain? Let us know what you think those eyes were and whether you would have stayed the night. Tonight's clip comes from Eerie, a TikTok creator known for a colorful mix of lifestyle content covering travel music, popular trends, and everyday moments. But on December 4th, 2023, during what was supposed to be a calm solo camping trip in a public forest, the situation quickly turned into something far more serious. What began as a quiet evening under the trees shifted abruptly when a man approached the campsite, aggressively claiming the land as his own.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
I wanted to camp in a forest, but a crazy guy is trying to burn my tent. Watch what he's gonna do. He's angry because he thinks it's his forest and he doesn't want anyone to sleep here. But it's not. It's a public forest. And it's not over. Look at what he did after that.
I wanted to leave and I picked up a few things and started walking towards my car, but it completely ruined it.
Oh no. Oh no. Hey, please, please, I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
According to Rechiel, the forest was public, but the man insisted otherwise and made it clear that no one was allowed to stay there. The situation escalated rapidly. The man became increasingly hostile and, in a shocking move, started pouring gasoline over the tent while threatening to set it on fire unless Rechiel packed up and left right away. Concerned for personal safety, the camper quickly grabbed a few essentials and ran toward the car, only to find it had already been damaged, likely by the same individual. But it didn't end there. The man reportedly chased Rechiel through the woods holding a bat and yelling. Fortunately, the camper was able to get away without being harmed. Still, the experience left a lasting impact and served as a stark reminder of how exposed solo travelers can be. It remains unclear whether the man was experiencing a mental health issue under the influence or something else entirely. What is clear is how fast the situation shifted from a verbal dispute to a serious physical threat. It highlights how unpredictable public areas can be and how even experienced campers can be caught off guard. What would you have done in that moment? Would you stay and confront the situation or leave as soon as something felt wrong? Share your thoughts in the comments and think carefully the next time you consider camping alone in an unfamiliar forest. Brendan Explores is a channel built around relaxed trips, simple meals, drinks, and quiet landscapes. On March 19, 2024, however, the experience took an unexpected turn. The issues began before the trip had even fully started. The night was extremely cold. Cars sped through the area and motorhomes arrived and left well past midnight. Brendan spent most of the night drifting in and out of sleep, shivering as he waited for the sun to warm the van. By morning, things looked calm. Frost covered the roof, the sun rose slowly, and there was finally a moment to relax. The day started normally. Breakfast was prepared, gear was packed, and after a few light moments with Steve, they set off toward the B52 crash site. The trail quickly became difficult.
Well, you can definitely tell we're getting higher. There's a little bit of snow on the peaks here. I dare say it, and this is not, I repeat, not for dramatic effect, but we haven't seen another sign yet. We saw the one sign at the very start of the trail. We're slipping and sliding everywhere. Hopefully we get, give me a sign!
Ice patches, deep mud-soaked shoes, and long distances made progress slow. Even experienced hikers they met warned that the route would be tough under those conditions. Eventually, Brendan decided to turn back.
With the temperatures being sub-zero right now, even though the sun's shining, it is a cold day. I've now got wet feet. I know from previous experience, from doing various different things in my youth, with at least 3 or 4 miles to go, would be a pretty silly decision for my health. So it's not very often I turn back. I didn't feel safe going forward, and I think you have to be honest with yourself and actually look at what's going to come if things go wrong.
With freezing temperatures, wet feet, and hazardous terrain still ahead, continuing would have put him at risk. It wasn't an easy decision, but safety came first. The pace of the day slowed again. Brendan walked through Bakewell, picked up some pastries, filmed briefly, then drove to a quiet hillside location to camp. It seemed like the perfect spot for a peaceful night. After dark, everything changed. As Brendan settled in, something hit the top of his partner's van loud enough to startle him awake.
You all right, mate?
Yeah. And there's a car. Did you have it as well?
Yeah.
Like a...
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at you, mate. They were by the van. I don't know what he's doing up there. He's the one
Hang on.
worrying me a little bit.
Yeah, hang on.
I've got something to say.
What time is it?
You stay away from my van.
Honestly, when I heard that car go past, what were they doing?
I don't know, but we've got somebody up there who's got a big spotlight on. He's our problem, because he's just driving backwards and forwards. If you look, right, is there somebody up there?
That scared the living daylights out of me.
Wow, I just banged my roof, I did, then.
Jesus.
Shortly after, a small van passed by, followed by a Land Rover, both moving quietly as they circled the area. Later, headlights appeared on the ridge above. A vehicle remained stationary with its engine off. Lights pointed directly at the campsite, neither leaving nor approaching, just watching.
So what are they playing at up there then?
Is that light up there?
It's just stalking us.
It's if it's sitting up there with the headlights on.
Yeah, like whether it's a vehicle or not. Well, it's definitely a vehicle because I heard it.
Yeah, I heard it. It was a little, like, Ford Connect van.
Well, why is he just stood there or
That's what I'm trying
sat
to
there
work
like
out,
stalking?
mate. If you stand here, right, it looks like there's two.
When the vehicle finally moved on, Brendan launched a drone to check the hillside. Instead of answers, it revealed something more unsettling.
Apologies if you guys can't really see much because of how dark it is, but there's definitely something or someone at the brow of that hill.
Yeah. See, it's picking up something.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, it's a fire. Look at the heat off. Look at the glow off it.
What the hell are they doing setting fires at this time of night? Car's gone past twice.
What, so we have two vehicles.
Yeah.
Go past. One was a van, definitely a little van.
Yeah.
And the other was,
Land Rover.
yeah,
A large fire burning in the middle of nowhere, with no visible people and no clear explanation. Despite everything, they stayed through the night. Neither of them felt comfortable. Steve kept checking outside while Brendan stayed inside his van heater, running at full power, waiting for daylight. What was supposed to be a quiet stay in a peaceful location turned into one of the most unsettling camping experiences Brendan had recorded. Some believe the situation involved people observing from a distance, while others think something more unusual was happening. If you were in that situation, would you stay until morning or leave right away? Bushman in Blue, run by Al, is typically a channel centered on quiet wild camps, extreme weather, and the simple enjoyment of time outdoors with his dog Blue. But on March 7th, 2022, a winter summit camp in the Lake District pushed things far beyond what he had expected. The plan was straightforward. Al would hike up Blencathra, take in the snow-covered summit, set up his tent, relax with a couple of beers, and watch the sunset. At first, it seemed like an ideal winter overnight trip.
Look at this. It's a steep climb to get to this point, but already you can just see all the mountains in the background, all snow covered. Sun just pouring through the clouds there. Just fantastic.
The snow was soft and powdery. The views were clear, and the open sky stretched endlessly. But as night set in, conditions changed quickly. Temperatures dropped sharply, falling well below freezing.
Oh, it's chilly. It's a cold one. But nice to get that mat up, and now I'm sat on that. That makes a hell of a difference. So next job, I'm going to get all my hot gear on to keep me warm.
The wind cut through every layer of clothing. The tent shook, snow blew inside, and visibility dropped close to zero.
Well, it's getting a bit flappy in here. There's gusts coming through that are really almost annihilating this tent. So hopefully we can stand strong till the morning. The wind is just bringing, if you can see there, look at all that. Just snow, just...
Even so, Al and Blue stayed in place, relying on their gear and waiting out the conditions. Then, the real danger arrived. A sudden warm front moved in overnight, bringing rain, rising temperatures, and rapid snowmelt.
Well, the wind isn't the problem anymore. I need a paddle. Look at this. What the hell am I going to do now?
Within minutes, the ground around the tent turned into flowing water. The surface softened as meltwater gathered and began to move. Soon, Al realized the situation had become serious. He had set up camp directly in the path of a forming stream. Water pushed into the tent from every direction.
There's just water everywhere, like 3 inches all the way around everywhere.
The floor flattened under pressure, allowing water to rush inside. His gear became soaked, the tent poles bent under stress, and Al and Blue stayed together on the sleeping mat, the only barrier keeping them above the freezing water. Outside, the wind continued to hit the tent until one of the poles finally snapped. Hypothermia was no longer just a risk. If the mat failed, if the tent gave way, or if temperatures dropped further, the outcome could have been much worse. Al waited for the first sign of daylight packed up inside the flooded tent and forced his way back out into the storm. The descent was harsh, filled with wind rain, slush, and no relief. But leaving was the safer option. By the time he reached lower ground, he was soaked, exhausted, and completely drained. Both Al and Blue made it down safely, though the situation could have ended very differently. Some see this as a sudden shift in weather becoming dangerous, while others point to how quickly mountain conditions can change. If you were there, would you stay and wait it out or leave as soon as things started to turn? Let's start with the disturbing account of a solo camper who became the target of a sudden and violent attack. On February 22, 2024, Carol, the creator of the YouTube channel Glorious Life on Wheels, shared the story of a female nomad whose quiet trip turned into a nightmare. The incident occurred during a solo camping stay in Cortez, Arizona. It took place in the early morning hours, sometime between 1 and 2 a.m., while the camper was asleep inside her vehicle after a long day of traveling and outdoor activity.
On the morning of Tuesday, February 20th, she was asleep in her car. And all of a sudden, her dog started just going wild, barking. And around the same time, she heard an OTV, like a ATV, like one of those dune buggy type of off-road vehicles, pulling up into her campground and up to alongside of her vehicle. Now, she wasn't sure exactly, because it happened so fast. She wasn't sure whether it was her dogs that woke her up, their barking, or whether it was her hearing the ATV driving up that woke her. But anyhow, she was in a deep sleep, so she was kind of groggy, and she's starting to wake up, and you know how when you're waking up, you're just kind of trying to get your bearings. And all of a sudden, now she's lying down, and it's just, kind of, I don't know if she was just raised up a little bit, trying to wake up to see what's going on.
Based on Carol's account, the camper was abruptly awakened by her dogs, which began barking intensely. Around the same moment, she heard the sound of an off-road vehicle, possibly an ATV, pulling up near her campsite. Still half asleep and disoriented, she struggled to understand what was happening. Then, without warning, everything escalated.
That she had her head on, because her head was apparently just below the window. So when it shattered, a lot of the glass came right down onto her face and the area right around her chest. You can get a better idea from these pictures how much glass was on her pillow and also on the side and throughout her car. If you look, you can see there's not that much glass at the top of the pillow. The reason for that is because most of the glass that came down that would have come onto the top of the pillow actually came down and shattered, falling onto her face and her shoulders. When I spoke with her, she was still very, very shaken up and very traumatized, and you could tell by her speech and the tenor of her voice. But the police were summoned, the courtside police were summoned, and they did come out. She shared with me, however, that she was so shaken up when the police came out that she didn't realize that she was bleeding all up and down either one or both of her legs. She had glass everywhere on at least one of her legs. And the person who contacted me to tell me about this episode said that she tried to help. I'm going to call the victim T. She tried to help T, and she administered alcohol and was actually pulling the glass out of her legs because she was bleeding so badly. But again, like I said, she was so traumatized, she didn't even realize how seriously she was injured and that she had cuts up and down her legs.
A loud impact shattered the silence, and glass burst around her. The windows of her vehicle had been broken. Fragments flew across her body into her hair, her mouth, and even her eyes. She later said she was still finding pieces of glass in her ears hours afterward. Her clothes and skin were covered in tiny shards, making it painful to move. Photos taken later showed broken glass spread across her pillow and throughout the inside of the vehicle. Most of it appeared concentrated in the area where her head and shoulders had been resting. In the shock of the moment, she didn't even realize she was bleeding. It wasn't until others arrived to assist that the extent of her injuries became clear. She had deep cuts along her legs. One person began removing glass from her skin and treating the wounds with alcohol. The victim was too shaken to fully process what had happened at first. Authorities were contacted and launched an investigation, but no suspects were identified. The victim later received medical treatment and fortunately recovered completely. What makes this situation even more unsettling is what happened earlier. Another solo female camper in the same area had been approached by a suspicious group that same evening. Sensing something was wrong, she left before anything could escalate. It is believed that if she had stayed, she might have faced a similar situation or worse. While this was not an encounter with wildlife or anything paranormal, it highlights a serious reality. Human threats in remote areas can be more dangerous than anything else. The sequence of events suggests the attack may have been planned, possibly with the intent to intimidate or rob. If the camper had been fully awake, could she have escaped before the windows were shattered, or was the timing deliberate because she wasn't? It's a harsh reminder, even when you're alone, you're never completely isolated, and sometimes the greatest danger comes from other people. There's a YouTube channel that pulls viewers into the darker side of the natural world, focusing on mysterious stories and unsettling encounters that happen far from the safety of civilization. On June 4th, 2024, the creator uploaded a video showing what was supposed to be a normal solo camping trip. This time, however, he wasn't by himself. His loyal dog was with him, a companion he often depended on for protection in remote areas. The trip began calmly. After setting up camp, he sat quietly taking in the still surroundings. But as the evening continued, the peaceful atmosphere started to change.
And I'm a little shook up right now because I heard some strange sounds. Stay here, Mika. Stay here. It sounded like some sort of growling. I'm not sure. I wasn't recording. I was just enjoying my night. And hello? Shh. It's okay. I'm just talking to my dog right now. What the? Mika, stay here. Stay. Come, stay. There, good boy. Good boy, stay, sit. Sit down. Hello? What the fuck?
Unusual sounds came from beyond the tree line, low, rough, and unfamiliar. At first, he thought it could be a bear or another animal moving through the brush. Still, the noises continued and felt increasingly unsettling. His dog became noticeably alert, staying close and refusing to wander with its attention locked in one direction. Something about its reaction felt wrong, as if it was picking up on something the human eye couldn't see. Carefully, the camper stepped away from his tent to check the area. With each step into the darkness, the sounds seemed to grow stronger.
There's been a lot of dead trees around. Maybe it's Mika. Oh no. Come on. Mika. Oh no. Mika, come back. This dog is Come here. What are you doing? Stay here. What's out there, boy? You all right? Stay. Sit.
He tried to make sense of what he was hearing, but the atmosphere felt heavier, and his discomfort increased. Eventually, he called his dog back and returned to camp shaken and unsure. Whatever had been out there, if anything at all, never showed itself, but the feeling of being watched stayed with him. Later, while reviewing the footage, he realized how close the situation might have been, not only capturing the moment, but leaving without harm. Could it have been just a wild animal? Possibly. But the dog's behavior, unusually defensive and unwilling to move forward, suggests it may have sensed something beyond typical wildlife. Some believe animals can detect things humans cannot. If he had walked just a little farther into the trees, would he have made it back? In the wilderness, danger doesn't always show itself. Sometimes it waits, quietly, just outside the reach of your light.